What's up, geniuses? My name is AJ Rivera, and welcome back to the channel where you learn to show your genius. Now, today we're getting back into my vocal mixing basics tutorial. Last week, or last video, it wasn't necessarily last week. I didn't post any videos last week. I'm sorry, guys. Anyway, last time we were talking about compression. I showed you all the basics of compression, why you want to use compression on your vocals in the first place. But today we're going to be going over something different. We're going to be going over EQ, or equalization. So before I get into this, I just want to say that all the videos that I post are for free. I don't pay anything. I don't make crazy courses that are $400. But what I do have is a Patreon, which you can join to support me. The lowest tier is $5 a month. And if you want to help me sustain this YouTube channel and teach you stuff for free, feel free to become a patron. You get perks too, by the way. So super awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I also appreciate all the love and support that you guys have been showing for my latest single, The Kid. It already almost has 1,000 streams on Spotify. It's amazing. You guys are amazing. So thank you so much. And if you haven't already listened to it, feel free to check the eye icon up here. It'll take you to the song, which I think is a pretty good song. So feel free to check it out. Anyway, first things first, we're going to be going into FL Studio. As you can see, we have our mixer channel called Vocal Poo Poo. And if you don't call your mixer channels Vocal Poo Poo by right clicking and then clicking rename, you are losing already. If it's not, get out of here. So we put in the compression like I explained in the last video, which if you haven't already checked it out, click the eye icon so you can see it. Compression basically just levels out the dynamics of the vocal so it's not super loud or super quiet. But next, what we're going to be doing is going over to the effects and adding in Fruity Parametric EQ 2. So this is FL Studio's EQ. They have other EQ plugins, but this is the one most people use. I use it all the time. What EQ is basically taking certain frequencies within your audio and boosting them up in volume or lowering them in volume to shape the quality of the sound. So if you play the vocal recording we have here, you'll see the EQ will start to light up, showing where the frequencies are in this audio. You should subscribe to me now. So what's interesting is you're going to be seeing some frequencies all the way down here in the lower ranges, but also in the higher ranges. I'm not singing those pitches, so why do you see frequencies all over the place? Well, when it comes to the tonality and timbre of sounds, there's something called overtones and harmonics. And basically with every single sound, they're not always going to be on one specific frequency. If we sing an A, which I believe is around like 430 hertz, I'll put a correction if I'm wrong. But if we sing an A, majority of the frequencies are going to be around that A, but you're going to be seeing other frequencies in other places as well. It's not only going to be at 430 hertz, you might see some at 2000 hertz as well. And the reason for that is because that's what gives every single sound and even our voices that specific voice. So if you compare my voice to Morgan Freeman's voice, if we sang the same note, even though it's the exact same note, we don't sound the same. That's because there's other frequencies inside our voices that are giving us our specific unique qualities. This is exactly the reason why a piano playing the same note as a saxophone, even though it's the same note, it doesn't sound the same. So with an EQ, we're taking specific frequencies of the sound, boosting them in volume or lowering them in volume to be able to bring out certain aspects or qualities of the sound. And in this case, we're doing it to our vocals. So with the Fruity Parametric EQ, we have this one token right here to control the lower frequencies down here, and we have multiple tokens that go up to the higher ones right here. So 1 starts off at the lowest and then 7 goes to the highest. And there's little parts in between that you can adjust as well. So you have multiple options, but you don't gotta go crazy. And that's one thing that I wanna emphasize is that EQ doesn't take a lot to make something sound better. So let's take a listen to this vocal track. You should subscribe to me now. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put what is called a high pass filter just by adjusting this up here until I get to that high pass. And what this is going to do is going to cut out the low frequencies so that only the highs are passing. That's why it's called the high pass filter. Amazing. The reason why I'm going to be cutting out the lower frequencies is because, as you can see, you should subscribe. In my voice, there isn't even really that many lower frequencies to begin with. So I'm cutting them out because I don't want them to be muddying up my song if they don't need to be there. So cutting them off is going to be giving my voice a little more of a shimmer. And another thing I like to do sometimes to give my voice a little more of that shimmer is go to the 7th band, bring it up a little bit so that the higher frequencies are louder, making it a little more punchier. You should subscribe to me now. Now, if you listen to my voice, something that I don't like about it is that there's this nasally frequency, if you catch my drift. Typically, I want to have a more cleaner, clear voice, and those nasally frequencies diminish that. So typically what I'll do with my vocals is find those nasally frequencies and then lower them down so you hear them less, making my voice a little more clear. You should subscribe So around 1518 hertz, I feel like is where the frequencies are most apparent. So I'm gonna take this, and with my scroll wheel, I'm going to make this a little more steeper and lower down this frequency. You should subscribe to me now. And as you can hear, it already sounds a lot clearer. Now there's another tonality in my voice that's a little more lower and muddier. I guess you could say it's groggy. I don't want that there because of the same reasons why I don't want the nasally parts there. I want it to be a little more clear. Usually those groggly frequencies are down here in the lower register, so I'm gonna be listening for those and taking them out as well. You should subscribe to me now. So now if we have a listen with everything together and with all the adjustments, it's gonna sound a lot cleaner than before. You should subscribe to me now. Compared to, you should subscribe to me now. Crazy how much of a difference EQ makes. Now, I know if you're just starting off, finding out the specific frequencies that you want to remove can be confusing. I'm telling you this stuff, but I'm sure it gets lost in translation a little bit. At least that's how it was for me when I was first starting off. A lot of the times I would watch tutorials and just copy and paste exactly what those people did. But please, 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 do not do that with this tutorial. When you are applying EQ to your voice, listen to your voice and figure out which parts you don't necessarily like about it. If something sounds a little too wah wah for you or a little too wah for you, make sure to go in with your EQ, look for those frequencies, just how I was doing earlier by panning this around, and remove the frequencies that are just not good to you. You don't have to go extreme. There's no need to go crazy, but even 1 or 2 decibels of removal can make a huge difference in how your voice sounds. Like I was telling you earlier, I usually remove a lot of that low end because it doesn't necessarily need to be there if it's not in my voice in the first place. But also I remove a little bit more of that nasally stuff because I feel like it makes my voice sound a little weak. And I also remove a little more of the low end so it doesn't sound muddy or groggy. And then I bring up the highs just to make sure that my voice has a little more of a sparkle. Now this is what I do for my voice. If you're somebody with a deeper, richer voice, you might want to keep more of those lower frequencies so that you capture more of that sound. You might actually want to remove higher frequencies so that that lower, richer radio sound goes through. It's all about finding what fits you and your voice. And if you're doing this for clients, finding out what works best with their voice as well. Everybody's got a different voice. Everybody's got a different sound. So find your sound, figure out what works best for you. And another thing I should mention is that every situation is different. I don't use the exact same EQ with every single one of my songs because with every single song, I'm singing differently. I'm singing in a different range. I'm singing with a different tonality. I might be belting my notes and singing really loud, or I might be really quiet and singing very softly like Billie Eilish. So take every situation as its own and adjust your EQ accordingly. These are the big things about EQ that I absolutely think you need to know. So make sure you continue to practice this stuff and also keep learning. Don't just look at my tutorials, look at other people's tutorials as well. I'm telling you to look at other people's tutorials. Oh my gosh, I'm a tutorialist. Shouldn't I want all the subscribers? Nah, I'm good. I just want to help you learn. So go watch other people as well. Don't just take my word for it. Listen to other people's advice too. Appreciate you guys so much for watching. It honestly means a lot. And with all the support going on for my new song, The Kid, man, you guys are crazy. It's so awesome to see all that support behind the song. It really means a lot to me. Seriously, if you haven't already listened to it, feel free to go check it out in the icon up here. And also stream it on Spotify. I'll be making a video about the ad campaign that I ran for that song in the really near future. So make sure you subscribe, watch out for that because I post more than just mixing tutorials. Oh. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Stay safe out there. Make really dope music like I know you guys can. But most importantly, don't be afraid to show your genius. Still the kid before, just got a little older and slammed some doors. We might have gone through pain and my hair ain't stayed the same, but when it comes to the heart of who you're talking to, nothing has changed.